I told you I would be back. Look at me. Hey, I'm talking here. I told you I will be back. Look at me. Hey, I'm talking here. Hello, folks. Steve Rizzo here, and welcome to Hey, I'm Talking Here. This is a show about empowerment. This is a show that will take you not only to a better place personally, but professionally. And in my view, that is the ultimate success. I'm in a really good mood today, extra good mood. I guess it's because I just moved into my new place and finally everything is getting set and everything's moved in, everything's working out. And this show, by the way, is brought to you by Conversations with Bob, which, as most of you know, is the book that I wrote, and it's been out for a couple of months now. And this is a beautiful woman who purchased the book and decided she was going to show it to the world. And she's a very wise woman, actually, for purchasing that book. And it's a great smile on her, too. And you can get this book. Just go to yourinnerbob.com, www.yourinnerbob.com, and purchase it. You can get it through Amazon or PayPal. And all I ask is if you like it, and I think you will, give a review. If you didn't like it, just tell everybody else that Eric Bam wrote the book. Actually, folks, right now it's my pleasure to introduce to you my team. By the way, Eric Bam will not be here. He's not feeling well, so we will be thinking of him. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you my producer, my director, the tech guy, the guy that I couldn't do this without, Bruce.
Hello.
Bruce. How you doing, my friend?
Hello.
Marion. Ha. I've known Marion for, 55 years, maybe? My goodness.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You don't look that old.
I'm 71 almost, man. What can I tell you? It's
Yes, yeah, I've been lying about my age. I'm 39.
Yeah.
And if you get that reference, you're older than I am as well.
Yeah, but you know what I do? I'm really 70. But as soon as you pass the 6-month mark, you got to say you're closer to the older age.
So you like either round down or round up to the nearest decimal point.
Plus, I say that because I say I'm older, and people say you don't look that old.
You don't.
I know. What can I say?
See, I'm 84. I look pretty good for 84.
Well, I tell you what, you whippersnapper. But Bruce, I absolutely love what you do, and we've been doing the show I don't know how long now, and it is getting really good reviews, and I know a lot of people are on board. And folks, when you're listening, wherever you are, please share with friends, share with everyone, tell your friends and family about it, because it's an entertaining show and it's a lot of fun. And as I said, Eric will not be here, but now it is my pleasure. I wish we had some really great introduction music.
Well, actually, I got some news and information, but so just to brag a little bit, my YouTube channel got 500,000 views since its inception.
Cool.
So now I'm working towards another million. So yeah, so this took me maybe 10 years to get to. I know there's some YouTube people out there who can do that in a day.
Yeah.
But I'm not a full-time YouTuber, and a lot of people I work with are not full-time YouTubers and either. What we do is we run our business and use YouTube as a marketing tool, as opposed to being a YouTuber where you make all your money making YouTube videos. Like you're not making all your money doing YouTube videos.
Well, that's for sure. I'd be freaking poor if I was. But we are getting there. We are working on this, and I know we'll get to the place where we want to be. Everything I've done in my life, sometimes things are done the hard way, and we're going to talk about that because the title of this particular show is "What is your greatest fear?" And I've had a few of them, and for a great part of my life, I didn't even know I had the fears, but they were controlling my life. We'll talk about that too. But I have to introduce to you one of my co-hosts, and I knew from the moment I saw her that she was going to be a part of some of the things that I'm doing with my life and with my career. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you the one and only Debbie Betdorf.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, so glad to be here. Thank you so much, Steve. And thank you, Bruce, for the introduction. I am so pumped to be part of this show. And congratulations, Bruce, on 500,000.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, I got half of 100 on my YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, the saying is that what likes and views don't pay the bills, but it's social proof, the fact that as a YouTube strategist, I can actually obtain some of the goals that I purport my clients should be able to get as well.
Wow. Well, and another thing I want to mention, and my eyes disappear when I get tickled, and I've been back here like, gosh, open your eyes, Debbie, because you guys talking were making me laugh about wait a minute, let's get this straight, because this is making me have my greatest fear right now. If we want to talk about fear, you're saying after you have a birthday 6 months in advance, you're already saying you're the next number?
Yeah, because you're closer to that age.
No, I don't count it until the clock strikes midnight on the day. That's it. I'm not rounding up ever.
Sorry, Deb. You can't look at it that way. You can't. Think about it. I mean, numerology. Yeah. You have to look at it that way. So soon as that 6 month goes past that limit, you are now closer to the age you're going to be. So you've got to
but wait, when you're born, are you already saying you're a year old?
No, until you're 6 months. You're 6 months and 1 day, then it's a year old.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Although actually, I think up until you're about 22.
I'd like to see what our audience thinks about this. So
yeah, I think
Marion just said you're in your 71st year.
You're in your 71st year already?
Yeah. And Marion knows everything. I've known her for 55 years.
Bruce, what were you saying?
So up until you're about 24, 25, you're always saying you're younger, or you're older. Like when you're 14,
100%.
If you're 14 and a half, okay, I'm 15. And if you're 15 and a half, okay, I'm 16. But then after like 22 and 23, it's like, okay, then you start running down.
That's true.
And then when you hit 39, you stop counting altogether. And then you start celebrating anniversaries of your birthday.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm up for that.
So you're like your 42nd anniversary of your 39th birthday.
There you go. I like it. I like the way you're talking here. I like it.
Well, I think we got a really good show. I think we have a good topic. And as a matter of fact, I remember when I told you this, the title of this week's episode is going to be, "What is your greatest fear?" And, I alluded to this earlier. Some of us have fears and we're not aware that fear is controlling our lives. Some people don't even know, they can't acknowledge, they know something's not right with their life, but yet they know their life isn't working. And I would wager a lot of money that if your life isn't working, it's because of the fear factor somehow, some way is intermingling, not only just intermingling, but controlling the very essence of who you are. The person that knows they can do something as far as a career goes, but they're afraid to go to college to get the degree because they don't think they would be able to handle it. They don't think they're smart enough, or they're afraid to go for that interview because of the fear of rejection, or they're afraid to take that next step because that means they're going to have to leave their comfort zone. All of these things encompass fear. Fear is controlling you somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And once you can come to that realization, and you could have the courage, to do that, then
Bruce, you're too good.
That's one of my favorite characters.
That is amazing.
I'm sorry. When my father used to yell at me at the table, he's Sicilian. And my mother would always say to him, "Why do you have to yell?" And he'd go, "I'm not yelling." But when he did, I always would get him with that. Like, don't yell at me like that, Dad. You're scaring the hell out of me.
Oh, how could you even
I
continue
know.
to be ticked off at a kid when they pull
Oh, I
that
know.
out?
I know.
That's funny.
So the point is, before I distracted myself, is that we all have it. And once you become aware and you can acknowledge that fear is controlling you somehow, some way, you
Yeah.
can take the necessary steps to help yourself. But
I
Bruce,
like that.
what that?
I like that because, I've never really thought of it that way, Steve, that there are times where people don't understand what's holding them back because they haven't recognized that it is the fear. And, a lot of people will say, oh, don't say it's fear. What else is it? But I think the root of all is that fear, right? It is that, like, what if I fail? What if this? What if that? And when you use the what if, that equals the fear is where that what if is stemming from. But that's good. I like it. Go ahead. I know you're getting ready to talk to Bruce.
No. That's as a matter of fact, I said to you, uh, my friend John, who I go to my favorite Italian restaurant to, just said, "Hi, Debbie."
Hey, John. Hey,
I
John.
suppose like, hi, Steve.
No,
Yeah.
apparently he saw Debbie over me and he went to hell with Steve. I'm talking to Debbie. And then he
Here
says,
we go.
"Hi,
Hi,
Bruce."
Bruce. You're
He's not going to
sweet.
say hi to me just for the hell of it.
Oh,
That's his daughter, by the way, that just got married last week.
oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
As a matter of fact, though, Debbie, my best friend, there he goes. Now he says it. You had asked me last week when we were having a pretty heavy conversation. You said to me, "What is your greatest fear?" And without even thinking, I said, "My greatest fear is leaving this planet before I had the opportunity to get my message out to the masses." And that fear doesn't consume me 24/7, but there are moments. The older you get, and I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm just saying the more you go up that scale, um, every now and then it does hit me, and it hits me with a shudder, because I said this many times, and you guys know this. We all made them, but I'm very aware of the mistakes that I made, and I own that. I'm responsible for it, and as a matter of fact, my greatest blessings, my greatest, the biggest challenges I ever had became my greatest blessings, because I learned from them. But I learned later on in life. I always learned stuff the hard way. And that's why I feel I'm in a position. That's empowerment, by the way. When you could learn from your mistakes, even major screw ups, and just say, "This is on me. I did this. It wasn't this person. It wasn't that person. It wasn't God. It wasn't life." The fear starts dissipating then, and you become empowered. And now you're at a point where you go, "Holy crap, what do I got to do now to turn this around? Who can I go to that can help me? What needs to be done?" Then you go on this quest that I have gone through so many times, which is the latest quest I went on was the writing of this book that took me 7 years. 7 years of of a lot of pain and a lot of joy. And the more the book went on, the more joy came, because I started confronting my fears step by step. And I think we all have the power to do that. And once you do it, you start seeing your life transform. And you know how you know your life is transforming, and fear is no longer the determining factor in your life? When people look at you and say, you look different, you're acting different, something's different. What is it? And they can't put their finger on it, but they pick up on that energy, that confidence, that courage.
Yep.
Mhm.
That comes with the fear of the unknown. So if you're to say, okay, you're going to go into that interview and you're going to get that job, and I guarantee you're going to get that job, your whole personality and confidence changes, as opposed to you're going into that interview and I have no idea what's going to happen, or even worse, that negative talk. I'm going to blow this interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you will.
Yeah. And that's some people call it negative self-talk. As you folks know, I call it self-curse talk, because you're casting a spell on your life. That's all fear.
Yeah.
That's all fear. That of all these people that set out to achieve a goal, and they're psyched. They invested money in it. They know they can do it. And all of a sudden they hit this wall, which we all hit when you're trying to achieve something. And some people say, okay, this is the wall. What do I have to do to go around this or go over it or go through it? I'm going to do this. I know there's something within me that can meet this challenge head on. And then there are those that go, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
Oh, man, every time I try to achieve something, it never works. I always go 2 steps up and 5 steps back. Why does everybody else have what I want? That's self-curse talk. You're casting a spell on your life. That comes from fear.
Yeah. 100%.
What
And
do you
well, what I want to say first, what you said earlier about you have taken accountability for the mess ups, the screw ups, whatever you say in your life. That's huge, because the only way we're going to grow is to not play the blame game. It's to really say, and even if someone did you wrong, okay, and you're like, yeah, but they did do that. Oh, okay. Someone else did do something to you. But however you behave after that fact is on you. What are you going to do from here on out?
Yep.
And the fact, Steve, that you admit that you've made mistakes, but you took accountability for that is the only reason why you're here today. And you've become successful with writing books and public speaking and all of the rest. It's because you took action to know and learn from your mistakes, be accountable and not blame anybody else, and move forward. So kudos to you. That's amazing. And yes, Bruce, you're right. If we tell ourselves before we go into an interview or anything else, I'm going to blow it. Well, you better guarantee you probably are.
Yeah.
Because you just walked right into what you said. We got to talk ourselves up. So to answer your question, Steve, for me, I have thought about this show and I'm not afraid of nothing. Now I'm teasing. Fear, it's really difficult for me to admit this, but the whole reason I wasn't going to start my own business in 2015, now I know it was fear. Fear was holding me back from starting it, but I listened to other people, especially one lady, and it's a whole story, and I'm not going to get into it, not on this show, but someone said something to me at the right time when I needed it, and it kicked my ass. And I was like, why am I not doing this? Because if I fear it and I don't try, that is failure.
Yes.
If I do it and it doesn't work out, I tried. So that to me isn't failure. And when it was put to me in that way, it really resonated. It's what I needed to hear in the moment at that time. And within a week, I went and moved forward to start my own business. And it's been a wonderful experience. And I got to say, though, when you pay attention to who you are and the decisions that you're making in life, a lot of our decisions that we make are based out of fear. If we really made the decisions we yearn for and we are passionate about, our life would be a lot different than the decisions we make playing it safe.
So well said.
Yeah.
So well said. And again, that's the scary thing. A lot of our decisions are based on fear, but the real seriousness of that statement is that we're not aware that it's fear that's doing it. We have ways of covering it up.
Yeah.
And say, I feel safer at home. I don't want to take that extra step. I don't want to spend more time on this. I'd rather play it safe and do this. And that means you're listening to what I call, as it says in the book, the big mouth inside your head. Now, some people call the big mouth the ego. Some people call it the devil, which may be a little melodramatic, but if you listen to it, there will be hell to pay. And the big mouth inside your head, as a matter of fact, maybe that can be the title of next week's episode. The big mouth inside your head is so loud. So I told you this was going to happen. You should have played it safe. Every time you try to do something, it never works. Why don't you just play it safe and do this and do that? But then there's that silent voice, that authentic part of you, that God part of you, or the Bob part of you, That's a silent voice.
Mm-hmm.
But that voice, if you can tap into it and let it reveal itself, is a billion times more powerful than the big mouth inside your head.
Well, I always listen to those tiny voices. I guess it's called intuition, which kind of generates the luck that I have.
Yep.
The other day, I decided I was going on a video shoot, and I figured, okay, I don't need my iPad. I'll leave it at home. And I get in the car. All my equipment's packed up except for the one iPad. And I'm half a block away from home, and the voice in my side of my head says, "You should bring the iPad." And so I was only half a block away. I went back, got it, went on the video shoot. That was the one piece of equipment that helped me cover a second camera that didn't really work the way I wanted it to.
No. Wow. I know it is. It's little things like that. Like I feel like people feel like it's always like the aha huge things, but you're listening to your intuition can be just exactly that. But I mean, that was probably a big deal helping with the camera that wasn't working. Thank goodness you had it.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
You know, when I used to teach 42 years ago, back then when they didn't even have computers, I love that. I love teaching.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things I missed when I left teaching and went into stand-up comedy. But I felt the fear in so many of the students.
Oh.
I mean, I could just see it. And
What grade did you teach?
7th and 8th grade.
Oh, that's a formidable. Yeah, that's it.
Oh man. I mean, that's when you become aware on how inadequate you think you are.
Yes.
That's when the reality, it's no longer, you know, it's not, life isn't a game anymore when you're 13, 14 years old, because you're entering into maturity and you're very aware of what everybody says to you. Yeah. You're very aware about how everybody looks at you, and you're very aware about, I've seen students wanting to raise their hand to say something, but then, you know, and you try and push that out of them, of course. And it's an amazing thing to witness. I see it in adults still today.
And I see it too. I see it and with my own children, that age group, like between 7th and 8th grade, are when they kind of stop dancing in public too.
Yeah. Because
I would always, you know, I would go to the dances and chaperone. And so you go from these kids like, yay, bouncing off the walls, dancing in 5th and 6th grade. And then you have the 7th, 8th grade dance, and they're like wallflowers.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh. It just.
Well, I think because at that point you're dancing with the opposite sex.
Yeah. And they're taking notice of one another, and they're more aware of themselves, and they don't want to look silly and all of those things. And it's just, that's a fragile age to start learning who you are. And there you go. There's fear there. I mean, that's when fear really starts, right?
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Thank you for saying that, Marion. I appreciate that. In 7th grade, you rocked as a counselor too.
Oh,
yeah, I was a counselor for kid with behavioral problems also.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that was pretty cool.
Thank you for that.
No, that was well said, Deb. You know, I don't understand why schools don't have this as a subject in school. It should start in kindergarten. The power of your thoughts, how your thoughts create your beliefs, and your beliefs write the story of your life, and explain to them. You can do this on every level. Could you imagine if you started out trying to empower children that they really are in control of their destiny? It's not what happens to you. It's what you think about what happens. It's not what everybody else says. It's what you think about yourself. Would that not, in time, if you start that process off in kindergarten, then in 1st grade, you go to an advanced level, then in 2nd, by the time you're in that crucial age where it's intense sensitivity, 13, 14, 15 years old, that could cease the bullying aspect tremendously.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, at least diminish it, right?
That's so.
Because in your mind, you're going, you know, excuse me, but fuck you.
Yeah.
Your opinion of me is none of my business. Your opinion of me means shit to me.
People criticize that too, because the participation award, you get an award just because you showed up.
Yeah.
And and they're saying that the kids today are getting that you can do anything, and it's feeling they feel entitled because they can do anything and they deserve everything.
But you're right. I'm glad you touched upon that. That's why I love when these subjects veer off like
Yeah.
that. But the problem is you're just telling them that. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You've got to show them what life is all about. You've got to tell. I've told my son from the get-go, I want to tell you something. Life is great. It's beautiful. You can have a great time, but you are going to have some major disappointments and major challenges in your life. And I tried in so many ways. It's not what happens to you. It's what you do about what happens is that makes the difference. It's the thoughts that you have about the challenge that will determine the quality of success and happiness you're going to have in the long run. But this facade that a lot of schools are putting up now, like there's no competition, everybody gets a trophy. You're setting kids up to think that life is going to be easy and they're not going to be confronted with challenges. What happens when that kid goes for a job interview and thinks he's going to get it or she's going to get it and doesn't get it?
Yes.
What's going to happen to that person?
Yeah. It is setting kids up for a huge disappointment. And Bruce, I'm glad you brought that up, because I always said too, my kids never appreciate they didn't win everything that they were in. I mean, they were very athletic and pretty bright in school, but they didn't win many times that they put themselves out there. Sometimes they did, more times not, they didn't. And when they would get that participation award, whatever it may be, a ribbon, a trophy, or whatever, they didn't care about it because they said, I didn't win. But I think that's also in alignment with how they were raised, that you got to have skin in the game, and listen, even if, let's say all of a sudden, I give Steve some award for something he didn't even do. And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't do this, but my best friend did, and I gave her an award. But since you're my friend too, you get this award. He's going to look at it and be, thank you.
Yep.
But if you do something, Steve, really great on stage, and I'm just so proud of you, and you're proud of yourself, and then I give you something to remember that by,
yes,
you're going to cherish that. You're going to be like, Debbie thought of me and she got this for me for this great thing that I did. It makes so much more sense. And we're sending the wrong message. While I got to say, I always would love when my kids would win and they would get the trophy. And it always made me feel good too, that the other kids that didn't win got something, just because I never want anybody to feel bad. But the reality of it is, we're setting kids up for failure. When you go out for that interview, they can't say, you didn't get the job, but we're going to pay you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and that disappointment, that's real fear.
Yeah.
Now the person's going to go, wait a minute, I was always given everything. All of a sudden they're hit with a brick wall.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it reminds me when my brother Rocky, his son, was playing baseball and Little League, and he wanted me to show up, and I showed up late. So I sat next to him. My brother Rocky, he's got more balls than I do, I swear to God. And he goes, I said, who's winning? And the woman in front of me goes, no one wins. There isn't any score. We play to have fun. That's why we do this. We play to have fun. Okay. So my brother Rocky goes, yes, Steve, let's put it this way. He goes, little Ricky's team is having fun 16 times. And her team is having fun 3 times.
And that's why we're not mentioning score.
Exactly.
Little Timmy.
So getting back to this topic of fear, Steve used to, so as opposed to competition, when you were performing, did you have that fear before you went on stage?
Yeah, but I knew I was good at it. I knew it.
So did the fear go away after a couple of minutes?
Yeah, but there's always that. I think the biggest lesson I learned is never invite your family and friends the first 6 months to a year that you're performing, because it's okay if you bomb. You're going to bomb. You will bomb, because you want to have the courage to write new material and throw it out there for the first year there. And it's, if you bomb in front of strangers, who gives a crap?
Yeah.
But if you're bombing in front of your friends and your family, it's humiliating. It's humiliating. And that is the number one factor, I think, that keeps people from moving forward in that career, in the world of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
A bigger fear I had was I was pretty blue, go figure, when I did stand-up. I was very blue when I
Really?
did
I
stand-up.
can't see that. You actually use like dirty words and things like that?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah. And so when I went to the speaking world, you can't even say hell without someone reprimanding. You couldn't even, you can't say shit. If you did, you could get reprimanded by someone.
Wow.
So I was so afraid because I did
What's up
25
with this? You
years.
can't even say shit.
I know. I did 25. I did 25 years where the F word is an adjective to me.
You use it like a comma, and now here you are. Like any hesitation in the sentence.
That's pretty funny. The F word is a comma. So I was always afraid that I was going to slip. I never did, but fear can. But you talk about comedy though. One of the greatest strategies that we have that God gave us, one of the greatest gifts, is your sense of humor. Mark Twain said, I said it to you guys earlier, not even fear can stand against the assault of laughter. If you could laugh in the face of fear, you can control your life, because laughter nips negative thought patterns in the bud before emotional havoc blossoms. If you ever saw the TV show MASH or the movie, how many times have you seen Alan Alda playing the part of Hawkeye? He's in an operating room, okay? And his hands are inside Subkin's insides and blood spurting all over the place. Bombs are bursting all over the place. No medical supplies left. Bodies are being brought in by the dozens. Sweat's pouring down his brow. And what is he doing in the middle of all this? He's cracking jokes. But by cracking jokes, he's not negating the seriousness of the subject matter. He just intuitively knew that his humor being is the only saving grace in a place where there seems to be so little hope. If anything, his sense of humor is giving him the courage to do what needs to get done, and that's to save lives. And I know a lot of people right now are going, Steve, come on, that's a great analogy. But
no, that is really good, and I will never think of it. I mean, that's so true.
But some people might be saying it's only a TV show, but very few people know, Debbie, that MASH was taken from the memoirs from a doctor that was in the MASH unit. And the reason why he wrote these memoirs was because of the humor that it depicted. That was the one criteria that formulated the attitude that they needed to save lives. Always, as he called it, the bounce back factor. Always helped them to bounce back.
Wow.
So
they always say laughter and music and things like that is what we need in our lives to help us. I mean, I know on a good day when I'm working out, music helps you get that extra rep in. You know what I mean?
Whatever it is.
Or now maybe I'll just crack a joke and see if I can get another rep in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that.
Yeah, I know.
Marion's guest. Oh, Marion's guest. Is that her name?
That's what she calls herself, Marion's guest.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
me. Marion and Marion's guest.
Especially when the shit hits the fan. Well, look here. Marion's not at all afraid of saying that shit.
Marion has gone through some stuff in her life, and she has prevailed. I've known her for, as I said, 50 some odd years.
Awesome.
And, she's
awesome.
just an amazing person. I used to record on cassette MASH shows and fall asleep listening to them. Yeah, they're very empowering. And if you notice, every episode has some kind of sick joke, some kind of a crazy thing. And let's go with some of the comments here, because I don't want to ignore people here.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to the very beginning. Here we go.
Let's just go through them somehow. Lately, it's been dying alone. That's your greatest fear. I get that, Marion. But you're really not alone, Marion. You know that.
John says, you're old. Tell them the truth. You take your teeth out when you eat. Oh, John.
What are you going to kill everyone here for?
I basically quit high school, got my GED, and finally went to college, 35 years old, 2 associate's degrees. I was the first in my very large family that got expelled, then didn't go to college. That was a big deal in my family.
Yep.
There's a lot going on there, Marian's, but you know what? I applaud you for going for it and going back and getting those associate's degrees. Good for you. Dan Greenan. As I grow older, I realize it's okay to screw up, but never give up. Yes.
Love you, Dan.
Yes. Montessori teaches that way, and the talented and gifted tag programs in Manhattan teach like that. Are you talking about the
That was back when we're talking about giving a trophy.
Oh, yeah. And also about, what Steve was saying, that they need to implement in schools just the ability to get in touch with your inner self and appreciate who you are. And I was thinking about that too, Steve, when you were talking. About meditation too, like figuring
yeah.
out who you are and knowing who you are as you go along. Then by middle school, it's still going to be tough. Peer pressure, fitting in, all of that. It's always tough no matter what. But I feel like at that point, if that's implemented in, then you kind of have a better idea of who you are and what you enjoy and what you like. And then the other noise of all the other students isn't as loud. But if
Yep.
they're also doing that as part of the curriculum,
Yep.
the other kids may not be as bullified because they also know who they are. It's usually the bullies that are rude.
So yes, exactly. And could imagine this. Imagine if it started though in kindergarten, first grade.
Yeah.
And you had a curriculum so that you're engaging them at that level.
Yeah.
Then they learn empowerment. Let's call it empowerment. That's a
There
great
you go.
title for it.
I was
Empowerment
struggling to
101.
figure the word out, but yeah, the empowerment of themselves and their
Yep.
own inner being.
Yes.
To the point where if they all know who they
Yep.
are to a better degree when they're older, I don't think there'd be as much bullying.
No.
Because
No.
it's always the insecure people who are the bullies.
And then think about it. When they get older and they have children, they will be passing it on. Before you know it, in 50 years, you have a totally different society.
100%. I'm digging it. I'm digging
it's
it.
Like the movie Back to the Future, where Biff passes down from generation to generation.
That's right.
Yeah. We got to get in our little space machine, whatever that thing was, the car that took us back.
We gotta get going in the car. Take off.
Oh my gosh, that sounds just like him. That's crazy. Ooh.
I know. What can I say? What was his name? What was it? Was Professor what? And
I will never.
Michael J. Fox's name was Alex. No, it wasn't Alex. No.
I don't know. I never remember names. I would make a good politician. But I have a question.
Sure.
So answer me this. You were talking about Bruce. You had asked him, did you have fear of going on stage when all this thing? Is nervousness and fear the same thing? Because I don't know, Steve, did you really fear that, or was it just a case of the nerves? And if so, what's the difference?
I think nervousness starts out as an emotional upheaval, but if you let it control you, it can manifest into fear.
Got it.
And my first stand-up, and this is what I'm saying, I always made people laugh. And when I went to college, I paid my way because I played the guitar, and I played with a friend of mine, my friend Jack, who passed away many years ago. Anyway, I always did funny things in between my sets, and we were pretty well known. I did the Long Island, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area. I made a lot of money as I was going to college. And so I had a guitar in front of me, and in between sets, I would do impressions, Bob Dylan singing Elvis Presley songs, vice versa. They would yell out, do Sylvester Stallone singing Feelings, all that kind of stuff. And I would get great laughs. But then when somebody hired me to speak after dinner for the Moose Club at this big establishment, it was gorgeous. The Suffolk Manor, it was called, on 109 in West Babylon. And there were like 300-400 people in the audience. And I didn't have my guitar.
Oh.
And they introduced me as a comedian. And I must have been up there 30 seconds to a minute, and I walked off.
Really?
And I was so humiliated. I was so embarrassed. I'm thinking about it, and I'm going, holy shit. And I went to the bar, and the bartender was really cool because he saw what I did, And I just stayed there, and I felt like I was going to I wanted to I don't even know why I didn't walk out. I should have just walked out. So the leader of the band, who I was going on in between, they just came up to me and just said, don't quit, because I've seen what you can do when you were performing with Jack, and I've seen this. All you got to do is learn how to hone in on your skills, and don't be in such a hurry to, go on your road to success. Take it one step at a time, which was great advice.
Sure.
And it took a while before I went back into it again, but I did. And
wow, I didn't know that happened to you. But you see people like even on American Idol who go in and try out, and they have their guitar and they're strumming and they're singing. And then when they have to they'll say, well, do something without it. And they get really nervous. So that's kind of like their safety net.
Yep.
So that makes total sense to me that would happen. But you probably didn't feel like, you didn't have the forethought to think, I don't have my guitar across me. That's kind of my thing, my safety net.
You know what? It hit me when I hit the stage.
Okay.
I felt naked.
Yeah.
I really did. All right. I didn't have any pants on, but I felt really.
Yeah. We needed that guitar to cover the manly part. You forgot that part.
Actually, that's Jack Benny's story too, because Jack Benny, if you don't know who Jack Benny is, Google it. But he started off as a musician with his violin, and then he played less and less violin and more jokes, until one day he just left the violin off to the side and just did the stand-up.
Yeah. And
Wow.
he baby steps.
Well, some people say the greatest fear in the world is speaking in front of an audience. Mm-hmm. It's number one still today. It's still number one. It beats out death. And, so I would say that stand-up has got to be.
I can't even imagine.
It's got to be above speaking. Yeah.
100%, because when your whole gig is to make someone laugh.
Yep.
And you get up there and people aren't laughing, scary.
Yeah.
Because if you're up there to do a topic and speak, you don't know if people really enjoy it or not, because they're just really just listening.
Exactly.
But if you're up there and your job is to stand up there and tell jokes to make people laugh, and people aren't laughing, the thought of that's terrifying.
It's out of all the entertaining facets of life, whether it's acting or singing or playing music. You could be in a band, and there could be hundreds or thousands of people. No one's listening to the band. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't need that feedback, because you're just going to keep going and keep playing.
Yeah.
But if you're up there by yourself and
it's noise, like stuff's going on, noise. Exactly. But if you're up there by yourself and you're like, da da da, put up, and people are like, wah, wah, wah. That's like silence and scary. And I've thought about it. I'm like, not that I would ever want to be a stand-up comedian, but I have watched stand-up comedians who haven't been that good.
Yep.
And it makes me feel like I feel for them. I'm like, oh my God, that's horrifying. Like that's awful. I would hate to be up there. I could never do it. That's something
the other side of the coin is nothing funnier to the other comedians is when a comedian is bombing on stage.
Well, because then they know I can't do worse than that. I can't.
Because they know, Yeah. But again, talking about laughter is one of the greatest strategies you can use to dissipate fear. Your negative labels, your toxic labels. But the key is you have to be aware. You have to be aware that fear is controlling you. The big mouth inside your head is trying to control your life. That's your ego or the devil, whatever you want to call it. And if you believe in the devil. And once you're aware that fear is controlling your life, man, it's nothing more empowering when you start turning it around. And laughter is the greatest bounce back factor.
Oh, yeah.
As a matter of fact, I don't know if I want to do this. It's late in the show, but maybe we should. Should I? I have this video, the Word According to Bob video. It's 2 minutes long. Should I play it?
Sure. Hey, I'm not your producer. You do it.
It's actually 3.5 minutes, but
it's 3.5?
Yeah.
No, never mind then. I don't want to do it. But it is a perfect example when I was in third grade, how laughter dissipated a great fear that I had. But we'll do that some other time. Let's hear some of the comments.
Okay, here's one link.
Listen, you read it, Deb.
Okay, fear of failure is something we all deal with in every aspect of life, not just in our comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was, I don't know how to spell or how to pronounce Richard Wenzow.
Yeah.
I think she's quoting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's quoting him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Renee, first of all, great to hear from you. And
Yeah.
you're 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
You're 100% right.
Nice. I love when people quote things.
Oh, so do I. So do I. Let's get some other ones up there, Brucey.
Yeah. And, as he's bringing something else up, I'm going to say, oh, wait, let me do this. Okay. Believe in yourself. I always say, believe in yourselfie. No, I'm going deep into the blockchain world. I don't really know. What is that? Some of what I've heard needs to re-travel through the ears before it starts to stick. I'm beginning to see a bit of mad scientist in one of my teachers. So I think he's saying that the things that are being taught in school and how things have changed so much. I think if that's right, believe in yourself. I don't know if I'm reading that correctly. I think that's what we've kind of been discussing. Well, and then there's another part, and then proceeded to I don't know.
Yeah, we got some votes for the videos. The videos will be on next. Or actually, we're doing 2 shows since we missed last week's show.
We got votes for the video.
Well,
people want to see it or no?
We can play it next week. You get these people to come back next week.
Yeah,
because we're going to do another show next week as opposed to 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's go through some of these, some more of the questions.
A couple of little tidbits as he's bringing stuff up. So I had told my daughter she had a speaking event when she was in high school, and it was a big deal, and it was covered on the news in Columbus, and she didn't act nervous. And then right before she went on the stage, she goes, I don't know if I can do this. It was like that real intense stage fright. And I didn't have time to be to coddle her. It was like game time. You need to get your boot out there. And the only thing that came to my mind, and it worked. And I said, well, you got to do it. So you can either go do it and suck, or you can do it and be really good. Your choice. Go. And she was like, and afterwards she goes, and also her personality is we're very different. She's more driven and this is what I'm doing, get out of my way. And I'm more let's talk about it. So that worked for her. And I thought, oh my gosh, all these years I've been coddling her and trying to have deep, meaningful conversations. And really, I just needed jerking on her tail.
Wow.
So if that helps anyone else listening, you can, if you have to do something, you might as well go do it and really be good at it and be confident, or suck. It's your choice. You got to do it. So you do it well or not. And
think of the alternative if you don't do it. How you're going to feel
right.
about it.
You'll never get that time back. Just do it.
And we got to be careful of some of the other words that we use that could spark the makings of fear. The words hopefully, maybe, and possibly. Yeah. You're leaving the house and you're going for a job interview, and somebody's going, hey man, you're going to kick ass on that interview, and you go, oh, I hope so. And as you're walking away and you're saying, oh, that you're leaving doubt. That means in your mind, you're thinking there's a good chance that you're not going to have a good interview.
Love it, Steve. Love it.
Yeah. So
preach it. Yeah.
You can give a great interview and not get the job, but that's okay. Just as long as you go in, you do your best, you don't allow fear to control you.
That's true too.
Yeah.
That's so true. And I always say too, when you go in front for someone, and we're using an interview as our example here. So remember, there's 1 or 2 people making a decision on you. So that doesn't mean the next interview that you go for, you're not going to get it. It's other people's impression of and perception of you that other people may really appreciate what you have to offer. So I always say, don't get too down on yourself when something doesn't work out. It's probably just not meant for you. And the next thing might be exactly what is meant for you. So it's hard to embrace not winning, but most times if we look back in our lives at the things that we maybe lost wasn't really the right word. Maybe it was a gift that we didn't get that.
Well, sometimes not getting what you wanted could be a blessing in disguise. I I think you've heard me say this. Sometimes what you want in life isn't necessarily what you need to be happy. For the most part, what you want feeds the ego. What you need feeds your soul. And every now and then you have to stop and ask yourself, which one am I feeding now?
Yeah.
And, we get lost in that conundrum so often.
Mhm.
And it builds character. What if Colonel Sanders quit? It took him over 1,000 tries to sell his chicken recipe. What if he quit on 998?
And he was knocking door to door, people. It wasn't just sending some emails.
Yeah.
That's
Thomas
a big
Edison, the same thing. 10,000 tries to create the light bulb. And if you read the history in these people, they went through a lot of crap.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of fear. And see, fear is, I think, the leader of the destroyer of the spirit. And from fear derives every other negative emotion.
Yeah.
Anger, self-doubt, overwhelm, despair, jealousy, envy, hatred. All that stuff stems from fear. A lot of people could disagree with that, but I think fear is the leader. That all that other stuff stems from there. I can't believe we're almost done an hour here. This went so incredibly fast. Let's read a couple of more, just a couple of more of these.
I always thought that hope was a good thing.
Yeah.
What do you
I was looking up what the Corinthians is like, and now of these three, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. But hope is in there.
Yeah, 100% hope in that context. And I don't think that what Steve is saying is hopefully that's different than having hope. Hope is like in your heart, in spirituality, and having hope in life in general. But like, if you're going to have an interview, I think what Steve is saying is like, oh, I hope so. That's leaving like that little slither of doubt in there where you have to say, oh, I'm going to nail it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a difference between saying, I hope so, and saying, oh, I'm hopeful. I'm going to do a great audition.
Yeah, right.
It is a difference. Yeah. I'm so glad you said that, Marion. But that's not what I meant. And as a matter of fact, when I started that statement, I said, be aware on how you're using those words. Maybe, it's like when your parents
I catch myself doing that all the time.
Yeah.
And it is very helpful to take notice of it. She said, Renee says, extreme fear can neither fight nor fly. William Shakespeare. Oh, Willie, he's a good one. He has a lot of good quotes. Thanks for sharing, Renee. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. We're so proud of ourselves when we fear something and then you just go ahead and do it. And regardless of the results of what you've done, if you've done it, that's a win.
Yeah. Well, if we have a tendency, it's part of the human condition to make challenging situations worse than what it has to be. And when we turn those challenges into fear, you're in a hole.
Wait a minute. You got to repeat that. That's really good. We as humans have a tendency.
It's part of the human condition to make challenging situations worse than what it has to be.
That's so brilliant. Let's see. This is already challenging, so let me add a little something else to it to wrap it up with the.
But isn't that called entertainment? I mean, if there's no adversity in a story, it's a boring story.
Right.
Yes.
True, Bruce. There you go.
But that's fiction. That real life.
Fiction.
What were you going to say, Deb?
No, I love it. It's like that statement. I've not ever heard you say that, and I've not read that myself. So when you said that, I'm like, wow, that's impactful. That we do try to make things. I don't mean we're trying. People don't give me any flack for that. But I mean, there are so many times where I have an obstacle, and I will myself go, well, then, and then if this happens off of that, then blah blah blah. Really, it's already just take it for what it is. Power through. It's fine. I love that, Steve. I love it.
Life is supposed to be challenging. I mean, that's where your life unfolds. It's the journey. It's indeed your challenges that will regulate the quality of happiness that you have. Without challenges, life would be boring. Look at the Indiana Jones movie. Let's just take that as a quick example. Let's picture you're in the movie theater and you're watching the Indiana Jones movie. The movie starts and he's looking for the idol. He's looking for the chalice. He looks over to his right in the alley. He sees the chalice sitting there and he takes it, he finds it, and the movie's over.
See you later. Peace out.
That would,
Enjoy your popcorn.
that would be boring.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with your life. You know, without a couple of whip cracks and wisecracks and all the shit that this guy went through to get the reward, life would be boring. It's your challenges that make you the person.
True. It's difficult in the moment to appreciate that, but that's a really good way of viewing it, you know, those challenges.
Well, I'll tell you what, this was I can't believe this went an hour almost. And I'm sorry we didn't answer everyone. Let's get a few more up before we leave. We have a few more minutes. Let's do that. And then we will answer you, though. We will answer you after the show. All of us will. Go ahead,
I like your butterfly, Renee. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Nelson Mandela. Yeah. Very wise man there.
Yeah.
It is when fear leaves you, that's when things get scary. Ooh.
That's another subject right
That's
there.
another show.
Listen to Marion.
Sounds like my mother. Chaotic. Oh, Marion. Believe in yourself to the point that even overwhelm is tired of seeing me. Huh.
Great. And here's a good ending.
Deep. That's deep.
Thank you very much.
Aw, Marion, thank you for being here.
Love you, Marion.
Yeah.
It always will. All right, folks. This was thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
Actually, there was one last thing. Last time that Debbie was on, we told her to hold up her QR code.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget again. I have it on a little. It is. If you want to check me out, everything you want to see is on here. My own show, my book, all of that stuff. You can click on there.
Yeah. And if it goes by too fast, just hit pause.
Keep it up there a little longer so people get their
okay.
Yeah.
And you just hit pause and
hold your hand up there for about a half hour, Deb.
There you go.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you got to check that out, folks, because she's got a wonderful show. She's got a wonderful book. She's a wonderful person, and she's just going to be a great addition to this show. And
I love it.
And we're going to be doing something else very soon too, folks.
Yeah.
Should I tell them the name of it?
Oh yeah, it's your deal. I'm just here to help out. So I'm excited. You want to announce it?
Conversations with Bob Book Club.
We're going to have a book club online.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be some great topics. We're going to have wonderful guests, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, so fun.
So everyone, thank you again. You've been wonderful. Next week, we are going to be on again next week. We're not doing it the week after, right? Because we skipped. So we're going to be on again next Thursday, 7 p.m. I don't know what the title is going to be, but it's going to be something. It's going to be a segue from here. It's going to lead right into it. And love you all. Thank you, folks. And please, if you haven't purchased the book, check it out on Amazon, yourinnerbob.com. Just look at the reviews. Just look at the reviews the book is getting. And I guarantee you this, and I don't make promises to people often, but if you really read this book from cover to cover, you will realize how much power you have over every aspect of your life. I could say that because I didn't write it. Bob did. Okay? And if you want to know who Bob is, some of you know, you're going to have to read the book. Love you all. Thank you. Debbie, Bruce, say goodbye to everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stay on.